For the first time in a while, homes across Windsor-Essex sold close to asking price instead of over it. That's not a small shift, and it's exactly why the headlines you might see about falling home prices are only telling you half of the story. Let's start with June. 573 homes sold across the county. That's up 8.1% from last June. More people bought and sold homes this June than they did a year ago. Keep that in your back pocket because you're about to hear a number that sounds like bad news, and I want you to have the full picture before you jump to any conclusions. I'm Linda Hakr. I'm a realtor with Jump Realty, and I work across Windsor-Essex and into Chatham, Kent. Every single month, I go through these numbers so that you don't have to squint at a spreadsheet to figure what's actually really happening in the market. If this is useful, make sure you hit the subscribe now because it only gets more specific from here. Every single month, I go through these numbers so that you don't have to squint at a spreadsheet to figure what's actually really happening in the market. If this is useful, make sure you hit the subscribe now because it only gets more specific from here. Okay, so here's the number. The average sale price in June was $545,413, down 4.3% from last year. If you're a seller, I get why that sounds concerning, but here's the number that actually tells you what's really going on. The sale to list price ratio. Last June, homes were selling at 104.5% of asking price. That means buyers were routinely paying over ask just to win the house. This June, that ratio sits at 100.3%, basically right at list price. The bidding war chaos a lot of people are still bracing for when they go house hunting, it's mostly gone. And there's another number that backs this up, and I think it's the most honest one in the whole report. It's called the benchmark price, and it strips out which specific homes happen to sell in any given month. So you get a true apples to apples read on value, not just an average that can swing based on the mix of homes. That benchmark number is actually up 1.7% over the last 12 months. So the typical home in Windsor-Essex hasn't lost value. What happened is more of this year's sales skewed towards more affordable homes. And that pulls the average down even while individual home values are holding steady or even ticking up slightly. Homes are also taking a little bit longer to sell. Median days on market moved from 14 to 17 days this month, and the year to date, it's sitting at 18 days. Still fast by any normal historical standard, but it tells you buyers aren't rushing into decisions the way they were during the frenzy. Years of 2021 and 2022. All right, so let's talk about what's actually selling because this is where it gets specific. Bungalows. They're the most popular style of home across the county again. 113 of them at an average sale price of $448,331. Ranches came in second, 71 sold, averaging $704,800. Two-story homes were third, 65 sold, averaging $684,212,000. Then 1.5 stories, 53 of them sold at an average of $410,790. Raised ranches rounding out the top 5, 52 sold, averaging $602,470. So if you're wondering what buyers are actually gravitating towards right now, bungalows, they're moving at the highest volume, and that lines up with the market where affordability and single-level living matter more to buyers than they did a couple of years ago. But ranches and 2 stories, when they do sell, are commanding meaningfully higher prices. So the sweet spot really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Volume of interest versus top dollar. And if you want to know exactly where the money is landing this month, the busiest price band so far was between $500,000 and $549,000. 60 homes sold in that range alone. Right behind it was $550,000 to $599,999 with 54 sales. And in the $450 to $499 band and the $600 to $650 band, you can see it clearly. The real heart in this market right now is that of $450,000 to $650,000. If your home falls in that range, You're in the busiest, most active part of the market. Outside of it, on either end, competition thins out just a little bit. One more thing worth knowing. New listings were basically flat, down just 0.3%, and active inventory barely moved either. So this isn't a story about the market getting flooded with sellers and prices having to adjust downward because of oversupply. The supply is steady. What's shifted is buyer behavior. Less urgency, more room to think, and sellers who, for the most part, are pricing realistically instead of testing the market and hoping. So what does this actually mean for you? If you're selling, don't panic off the average price headline. Price to the real comparables for your specific neighborhood and property type. Present the home well. And you're still in this market where the sales activity is generally up year over year. That's not a market in trouble. That's a market that's found a footing after a couple of wild years. If you're buying, this is generally a good window. You're not likely to land in a bidding war the way you might have 18 months ago. You can add real conditions back into your offer now. Inspection, financing, the things that got waived left and right during the frenzy. I've seen buyers get breathing room this year, and that just wasn't there before. The one caveat I always give people, Windsor-Essex is a big, varied county, and every town inside it moves differently in any given month. Leamington and Kingsville told genuinely different stories than each other this June. And I break both of those down separately because lumping every town into one countywide average hides what's actually happening street by street. And a quick note, if you're watching from Wheatley, I live there myself, and I'll be straight with you. In a town of about 3,000 people, one or two waterfront sales can swing the average price wildly in either direction in any given month. I'm not putting out a monthly number for Wheatley specifically for that reason. It's just too small of a sample to draw a real conclusion from month to month. I'm watching it closely, and if you do want to talk specifics about your street, I am always happy to. If you're wondering what your home would actually sell for in today's market or what buying looks like right now in your price range, that's exactly the conversation I have with people every week. No pressure, no obligation, just an honest read on where things stand. And if you want to go deeper on your specific town, I've got full breakdowns for Leamington, Kingsville this month too. One of them should be linked right here up in the screen. Go ahead, tap it next. And I'll see you in the next one.